Confidence is key. Confidence is key. You're not going to put your money, you're not going to leave your money with me unless you're confident I'm going to give it back to you. And at this point, when treasury bills, that 7-day treasury bills at 1/20th of 1%, it's not because people want to earn 1/20th of 1%, it's because they trust the fact that treasury will give it back to them next week. Right. And I'm sitting with $6.5 billion we're going to use to close the Mars Wrigley deal on October 6th. I've got to hand over that $6.5 billion on October 6th. Now, I have to be very careful about where I leave it in between now and then because they're expecting me to show up. When I lose confidence in other people, all kinds of institutions, and there are plenty of them that I've lost confidence in, then they get, their funds aren't available, they don't have it for the next guy. I mean, the whole economy just comes to a grinding halt. And confidence in markets and in institutions, it's a lot like oxygen. When you have it, you don't even think about it. I mean, it's indispensable. You can go years without thinking about it. When it's gone for 5 minutes, it's the only thing you think about.
I think that I'm lucky enough in life, I know I'm lucky enough in life, to be able to associate pretty much with whom I want to in business or socially or wherever. And I think it's sort of crazy. I think the ideal thing is to focus with people that are better than you are, because you will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And I advise students all of the time, marry up, marry somebody. It can't be done mathematically if everybody tries to do it, but your behavior will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And so why not associate with the best? I mean, I've had a number of heroes in life, and associating with them has done wonders for me. I would not have been the same person. I would not have had the same fun in life if I'd been indiscriminate in terms of who I associate with over time. Regrets at all that I focused on. I got interested in stocks when I was probably 7 or something like that. I got interested in business when I was 6 or 7, and what would have been better if I'd focused on chess? Now, Bobby Fischer would have killed me. If I'd focused on golf, it'd be a joke. So I happened to very early on learn, sort of stumble into an area that I was going to be naturally good at, and I was better because I did stumble onto it early, and I was better because I focused on it. And obviously, if you're going to spend X hours a day on some particular activity, you're not going to do it on something else. But I never learned to ice skate. I don't miss it at all. There's all kinds of things, you get to pick what you spend your time on. If you're lucky, you get to pick. And I've been able to really decide my own calendar for the last 60 years, probably to a degree that almost be hard to top it anyway. And I'm glad I made those choices. I get every day, and I've been doing this for decades, I get to work at what I love with people I love. If you take my assistant, Debbie Bosonic, I mean, there's nobody in the world I'd rather work with than her. And Charlie Munger, my partner, even though he's in Los Angeles, there's nobody I'd rather work with than Charlie and the managers we have. So I get to select the game, sort of how the game is going to be played, and I get to select the people who are going to be on my team. And if I'm associating with somebody that causes my stomach to churn, it's my fault because I don't have to do it. And I've arranged things that way to quite a degree. And I'm in a field where I can do that. If I was in government, I wouldn't be able to do it, or politics, or all kinds of things. But fortunately, I consider it the sort of ideal game. Well, by far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, for example, communication skills. I tell the students that come that they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, both in writing and in person, they increase their value at least 50%. I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens, basically. And you have to be able to get forth your ideas. And that's relatively easy. I did it myself with the Dale Carnegie course. Some people wish I'd taken a shorter course now in terms of my talking later on. But it's just hugely important. And if you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away from you. I mean, the second thing, which I'll get a certain criticism for not living it, but I do tell those students, that if I gave you a car and it'd be the only car you get in the rest of your life, you take care of it like you can't believe. Any scratch, you'd fix that moment. You'd read the owner's manual. You'd keep a garage, do all these things, and you get exactly one mind and one body in this world. And you can't start taking care of it when you're 50. By that time, you'll have rusted out if you haven't done anything. So you should really make sure that you just remember that you just got one mind and body to get through life with and to do the most with it.
Well, over the years, you develop a lot of filters, so you don't waste a lot of time on things. I always worry about sounding rude when people call me about a business, because usually in a minute or two I can tell whether it's going to make it through all the filters as to something I'm interested in. And I don't like to tell them that, because they feel that if I just listen to them for an hour, that I'll understand why they like it so well or something of the sort. So there are various shortcuts that you get, but I probably don't retain, I'm retaining a particular set of or collection of information, but other people are doing it in different ways. I mean, when I was a kid, I could have told you who was the starting lineup for 16 major league teams, but there were only 8 teams in each league, and they didn't trade their players around or anything. I can't tell you anybody now, but there are all kinds of people that can. They're just collecting different information than I'm collecting, and there are people that are carrying around absolutely as much information in their head as I am, but I happen to have it pretty well concentrated in a few areas, and I do know what I call my circle of competence. So I stay within that circle, and I don't worry about things that are outside that circle that other people may be able to capitalize or evaluate. It doesn't bother me that other people have skills that I don't have.
Well, they try to, they just don't realize that all you have to do is just buy a cross-section of America and then never listen to people like me or read the papers or do anything subsequently. They think that because you can trade, you should trade. You buy a farm, you buy an apartment house, you can't resell it tomorrow, and the cost of moving around. Now you get something handed to you, liquidity, which is instant. You can sell, and the cost of doing it are pennies, compared to other kinds of investment activity. So because they can so easily move around, they do move around, and moving around is not smarter than investing. It is just fascinating what's happened just in my lifetime, in the 86 years. I should mention one thing about reading. It was at the library here at Columbia, which I spent probably more time than any other student. I lived there practically. But I pulled the book out there, happened to be Who's Who in America, and it told me something about my professor, Benjamin Graham, and then I looked up and I went to the library and I said, I want to learn more about this because I learned this over here. That changed my whole life. We own Geico now because of that librarian directing me to some other book and then following through on that. It's the chance. I read about 1/5 the pace that Bill does, but I still spend 5 or 6 hours a day reading. I mean, you can learn so much. I particularly love biography, to be able to live the lives of these people that have been so extraordinary, the lessons and the discouragements they face, just everything about it. So you can't get enough of reading.